To help us with this conversation, Sulemana Braimah is Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, and Kofi Bentil is a lawyer and Senior Vice President and Policy Analyst at Imani, Ghana. Gentlemen, good morning to you both.
Good morning, Kojo.
All right. Ray, before we hear more from Sule and Kofi, here's the reality. Parliament was asked, the Parliamentary Committee was asked to do specific things, to investigate allegations that the IGP was being ousted, to investigate this tape to determine whether it was authentic, and to investigate anything else that they considered to be relevant to these two issues. They're doing exactly that. But, is saying.
That's a key question, though. After hearing the people, the accusers, hearing Bugrin Abu in the first engagement, and now hearing the IGP. I mean, is the potential knowledge gained from this probe truly? Is it worth the resource and effort that we are investing in there? The other question is, what are the ultimate objectives we are aiming to achieve through this probe anyway? And of course, people have been asking questions about other incidents, some which resulted in the death of other people, which has not been given the kind of attention that this one gets. Is it because there have been indications in this one that it will affect elections and the political fortunes of political parties? So it needs to be given the kind of priority that we are giving to this. But there are also some, if you look beyond some of these questions, ultimately, I mean, listen, is it the case? Why does it appear that virtually every relevant state institution, just last week or beginning of the week, we're talking about the judiciary, and people have raised concerns about other state institutions where it appears there are partisan elements and it's gaining roots. Is it the training? Is it the recruitment? Is it the standards in this institution? Are they now being bastardized, or they've always been so? Because it appears it's getting a lot of support now. Of course, maybe policemen have been discussing their partisan leanings, but we've never had this bold declaration on camera by these men with the intentions that we have actually seen display here. There's also another important thing that we should look at. Is what has been called the winner-take-all system. Is it now affecting or eroding every institution's integrity? So basically, when there is change of government, you may need to clear everybody in there because you suspect that everybody is tainted within the institutions that we are dealing with. Do we have, and that's also one of the things that you could glean from ordinary people's conversation on this one, do we have a tendency to push out individuals who appear to be genuinely committed to doing the right thing? We have, and of course, this is not to say that they are angels anyway. We have seen what happened to the lives of Martin Amidu, the Auditor General Daniel Domilevo, the Frimpong Buttons of this world. Is Dampare becoming another victim of that system?
All right, I'd love to start with you, Kofi, if you don't mind. Yesterday, we heard from the IGP himself in an interaction that sounded very much like a vetting of sorts, even though he's been in office for some time now. But it seemed, the committee were seeking to determine his bona fides and his suitability for this role. I mean, following yesterday, how have your thoughts settled on the work of this committee and the benefits or otherwise that we will get from this at the end of the process?
Well, I always had my issues with this whole committee. From a civil society point of view, I am happy when we have Parliament looking into matters. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and sometimes just airing issues really brings up angles that you may not have thought about, and it helps you even in institutional reform. So, as a principle, I like it when things are gone into, and when we have probes, and when we have some of these things. This is the one where I thought it was totally unnecessary. It was so unnecessary because I was like, what is the source of this? What could be the greatest benefit of it? And what exactly are we looking for? The source of this is idle gossip. It's people gathering to talk about things they cannot do. All right? And then somebody decides to take them, okay? And then somebody else has to come and answer about somebody's ambitions and how they intend to prosecute them. As far as I'm concerned, people are free in this, republic, according to our constitution, to say whatever they want to say, including wanting to be president tomorrow. and to scheme and do whatever they want to do to achieve that, as long as they don't commit a crime. So to the extent that they were talking about their ambitions and how they wish somebody would do something about it, I mean, it's their own sort of cuckoo. And I don't think it should have risen to the point where it rose to. But let's say, okay, maybe there was something we didn't know, so they wanted to go into it. After a few sittings, it's clear to me that this is an unnecessary pursuit. Then we get to the point where they make the determination to take the IGP from his very serious and very busy and very important job, okay, and try to put him on show and basically interrogate him. Okay, we are lucky. There are times when you find gems, people who are just rare and they stand out. All right, and I think we are lucky to have IGP Dampare. Then we go and put him on the stand. And look, sometimes you don't have any problem, but when you are put up on the stand like this, you trip. All kinds of things can happen, and it can destabilize you. But yesterday, you saw what grace the IGP came to this whole thing with. So back to your question. What was this for? As far as I'm concerned, it was a totally unnecessary pursuit. And I think the Parliamentary Committee itself should have come to a quick conclusion that, look, we are on a frolic that can lead to nothing, even in the best circumstances. And we should not abuse the time and the resources and take a man as serious as IGP Dampare and waste his time, because this man has a lot to do. For the period that they were there, the command and control of the Ghana police, which is in charge of our internal security, were all in one room. God forbid, if somebody bombed that room, what will happen to this country? It was an unnecessary waste of time, as far as I am concerned. So, well, that is my view. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more I wonder, why did we do this? Maybe it was done because God wanted us all to see what Dampare was made of. I think he came out stronger than he went in. So this was all for the better as far as Dampare was concerned.
Okay. Sulemana, even though there are many who share Kofi's view that, look, this all started because of some gossip on a tape somewhere, it's also impossible to discount the fact that on that same tape were the voices of senior police officers discussing how the police and how they are deployed can in one way or the other affect the outcome of an election. There is some seriousness in the midst of all this, because after all, this is the police we're talking about. Is there not?
Well, Kojo, thank you very much. We know the genesis of this matter, and I think your question alludes to the genesis of this whole conversation. Having some senior police officers being heard on tape talking about their position, how partisan they are, how they would want to support the incumbent government to win the next elections, and how they feel with the current IGP, the MPP cannot win the next elections. Now, when this tape came out, one of the questions that I asked a friend who is a police officer was that when a police officer is found to have misconducted himself or herself, what are the measures that are taken to correct or discipline or at least investigate the matter? And I'm told, and I believe that we all know, that within an institution like the Ghana Police Service, there certainly would be investigative mechanisms, and where people are found culpable of acting contrary to whatever they are supposed to do within the confines of the police service. If sanctions are required, there are internal mechanisms for dealing with that. That is number one. Number two, if in the context of this, Parliament believes that, look, this is a very serious matter, is a national matter, is a matter about our internal security, stability of the state, and so on, and therefore this matter has to be investigated by Parliament, then of course we are talking about investigating people who may have committed something that is deemed to be a crime, something that is deemed to be an infraction, and therefore it would be those people that would be investigated, whether openly or in camera or however Parliament deems it fit. So yesterday, when I saw and heard the IGP, my first question was, so what offense has the IGP committed? What is the IGP's cry? So, as he said, I am sitting somewhere doing my work. Some people go and make allegations against me. It is then exposed. And I am invited to come and respond to the allegations that have been made. How do we run a country like this? And for me, my worry is we are talking about the Ghana Police Service, the institution that is mandated to detect and prevent crime, the institution that is supposed to ensure law and order, enforcement of law and order, the institution that is supposed to protect you and I day and night. Then we bring the head of that institution to interrogate him on the basis of allegations that have been made against him on his competence or otherwise, whether he supports a certain party or otherwise, and this is done publicly. And yesterday, Kojo, if you followed the conversation, at some point it was about why haven't some people been promoted? We have heard about a certain unit that has been created. The intelligence unit, how does it operate? We hear that there are police officers who are wearing beard and wearing earrings and so on. Is that true or is not true? And I was asking myself, what are we doing to our country? So, assuming it is true that we have police officers who are allowed to wear beard and put on earrings and so on and so forth for purposes of intelligence gathering, we expect the IGP to tell the whole of Ghana that, oh yes, as part of our intelligence gathering, we allow this, we allow that, and so on. So, I mean, if you see somebody wearing this or that and you think you want to suspect that the person is a police officer, well, you are right to suspect because that is what we have in our country today. The IGP was asked about POMAB meetings, police management board meetings. How regular is it? How often is it? And we are told that with you, that came from the chairman of the committee, that why is it that the deputy minority leader was talking about with you, the MPP cannot break the age. And then he avoided the other side, which was that senior police officers were saying, with him, the MPP would never be able to do it, and therefore they are the ones who can do it. And the IGP was expected to respond to these questions. And I'm wondering, what is the essence of this? And why are we doing this to our country and our democracy? And I believe if care is not taken, and this is the path we would continue to go on, I'm sorry, maybe we are basically endangering our democracy, and we shouldn't be surprised if, our 30-year democracy begins to crumble. And I think this is really absolutely not the way to go. What has the IGP done? Why is the IGP facing parliamentary inquiry when he has done nothing? And if people think that, he's the worst IGP, is the IGP not answerable to the people who appointed him? I thought he reports directly to the Minister for Interior. The president who appointed him is there. The chairman of the police council is the vice president. He is a member of the police council. And if the IGP is the worst IGP, as this very partisan police commissioner wants the people of Ghana to believe, all these institutions, the president who appointed him, the police council that oversees the police administration, the interior minister to whom the IGP reports, the entire POMAP haven't realized that the IGP is the worst IGP. And things are going on. And the people of Ghana are not crying about the deteriorating security situation. We are all talking about how security has improved in the country and all of that. And yesterday, coming before the committee, you saw that almost the entire police management board, was with him.
Yeah.
And I was asking, why? Who is it the case that Commissioner Yohonu would fear that, if I don't accompany him, when I get back, I'll be sacked? Or is it the case that Commissioner Awuni would say that, if I don't go, when I come back, my position will be taken away from me? Or is it the fact that Commissioner Lydia would say that, oh, if I don't follow Dampare, why, even if it were so, couldn't any of them say, oh, let me say that I'm not well, I wouldn't go. Oh, I have this, I wouldn't go, and so on. Why did we have all of them there? And we put the entire police of Ghana before the cameras and asking them how police is managed, the affairs of the police. I'm sure even if it were to go on, we will be asking about how many AK-47s we have in the system and so on and so forth. I think this is needless and a very, very unnecessary adventure for us to embark upon.
Right. Well, we're talking to Sulemana Braimah, Executive Director of Media Foundation for West Africa, and Kofi Bentil. He's a lawyer, Senior Vice President and Policy Analyst at Imani, Ghana. And the question before us is all about this probe by Parliament into the alleged conspiracy to remove the IGP. Kofi, let me take another tack on this, and really my focus is on Parliament here. Are you getting the impression that maybe Parliament doesn't either doesn't understand or doesn't know how to use its immense authority and strength? There have been national issues that really require the representatives of the people to look into. And we gave examples today. People got shot and killed during the last election. People died. We're here. No institution has looked into it. Parliament hasn't seen it fit to seize themselves with looking into that matter. That's not all. There have been massive events in this country that nobody has looked into. Individuals have been identified as being involved in illegal mining, and we've heard absolutely no institution going near them, no institution attempting to investigate them. Parliament hasn't seen it fit to set up committees to look into these people or these organizations, but they have the power to do so. Why is Parliament more interested in innuendo and you described it as gossip? Do they not understand the power they have?
Well, Kojo, I think they do understand they have these powers because we find them now exerting themselves. They are now clearly using these powers. From a policy analysis point of view, there is this phenomenon where people in power either exercise the power on behalf of the people who put them in power, or they exercise the power in their own self-interest. All right? Now, these two things, you find it almost everywhere. There is a third time when people exercise power sometimes in pursuit of their own convictions. So, for instance, somebody goes to Parliament. You can be doing what you're doing in Parliament because of the constituents who sent you there. So even if you believe in something, but your constituents believe in the other way, you do what your constituents want. And then there are times when you do what you believe in. This is my conviction. I am in Parliament. Yes, you got me here, but this is what I believe in. So I pursue that, even if my constituents don't want that. And then you risk your seat the next time. Okay. And then there are times too when once you go and belong to that group, you start doing things in your self-interest. It is not your conviction, and it's not even what your constituents sent you there for. For instance, you go and they're talking about ex gratia. It is in your self-interest. It's not your constituents who are going to get it, but clearly you see that they have a lot of energy for some of those things. Okay, you have a situation where a shaman happened. People went into a community and shot guns and caused all that mayhem. And nobody thought it was necessary to have a big deal about it. Okay, now my view is that this tickled their fancy because it had to do with elections. Mm-hmm. Somebody went and made a wild allegation that the head of the police can do something to move elections in one direction or the other. And that immediately gets the attention of politicians, parliamentarians, because that election specifically concerns them. Okay, so my theory of all of this is that they do understand their power, But unfortunately, we've got to a point where, like you were saying, many of us do not understand why they have not deployed that power in serving the people who took them there and in serving the country, or even in standing up for their own convictions, whether left or right. But when something tickles their fancy because it directly affects their own, political situations, then they are all up and then they find all their powers and then they go on this kind of pursuit. Now we are all looking for the benefit in this for any of us. Where is the benefit for their constituents? Where is the benefit for the country? Where is the benefit for anyone at all? Okay, so honestly, I don't think they misunderstand their powers. They've just refused to use it. We live in this country where we've suffered catastrophic problems in our finances, and all kinds of things have happened up and down. And we don't see what they are doing. But in this matter, they find the energy, they find the time to go on this kind of frolic. So I think they know what they are doing. Simply put, they are there serving themselves and not us.
Right. Well, so Sule, what's the solution here? I mean, if it seems Parliament is preoccupied with this matter, which they can't even effect any useful outcome from, how do we correct the course? What do we do to make sure something concrete is done about the evident partisanship that has been demonstrated in the police service at the highest echelons of it? It's a problem. How do we solve it if Parliament is not the solution?
Well, Kojo, I think that we need to admit that in terms of partisanship, it's there in every institution, whether it is the judiciary, whether it is Parliament, the police, the military, it is everywhere. The most important thing is we need to also acknowledge that there are certain institutions that if we entertain the exercise of partisanship, we are basically condemning the institution and destroying them. And the police and the military and the judiciary are part of those institutions that we know. Certainly there are people who are aligned to one party or the other, but we need to do everything as a people, as a country, to ensure that, yes, people may be partisan, but in the course of their work, they don't allow the partisanship to influence their actions. Now, I believe it's not a matter of even belief, it's a fact that all those people who are on the committee, the members of Parliament who are on the committee, the chairman, Honorable Atachia, if I'm not mistaken, he's been in Parliament, this perhaps is about his third or fourth term, representing one of the constituencies in the Abuaka area. Honorable Agalga, this is about his third or fourth term in Parliament, and he's the vice chair, representing the people of one of the constituencies in the Busa area. And then, of course, all the others. These are people who have contested and won elections to become MPs. Are they saying that as far as their experiences are concerned, it is an IGP who can help them win or lose an election? I think that is one fundamental question that we need to ask them, because yesterday it came up. The vice chair, the chair asked it. The vice chair was trying to, also try to put it in a certain context, because, the deputy minority leader whose comment the chairman was referring to, of course, comes from the camp of the vice chair. And so there was that banter here and there. But the fundamental question is, the chairman, when he was asking that question, does he want the IGP to tell him whether it is an IGP who can help a party to win an election or not? Doesn't he know? They went all the way to asking a question about the Asin Central, or is it Asin North by-election, and the IGP had to now respond why the entire leadership of the police service had to be deployed to ensure peace and security. Is it the case that, as far as the MPP is concerned, if 10, 20, 30 people would have died for them to win the Asin North seat, they would have been happy? Or is it the case that for the NDC, if 20, 30 people would have died for them to have won the seat, they would have been okay? Otherwise, if an election has been held and somebody makes a wild allegation, a claim that, because of the IGP, that is why a party didn't win a seat. And the election was held peacefully. Kumewu was held peacefully. And as a country, I think that is what we want. Our politics, our democracy must be based on rule of law and not rule of, somebody who is an IGP or whoever is the president and so on and so forth. And so for me, the way to go is actually to really put the pressure on our parliamentarians to perhaps engage in matters that are really of significance to the lives of the people, like the examples that you gave. People have been shot and killed. Things happen that result in the loss of lives of people. We don't hear parliamentary committees. In fact, that very recently we are hearing about the whole finance committee saying that, yes, we made errors in our report, and yet in the process they gave away for almost $4 million free as tax waiver to a company. Parliament is not concerned about those ones, and rather concerned about people making allegations. Are we saying that tomorrow, if we hear a judge, in a tape, saying that, this is the worst CJ we have had, the Chief Justice we are having. With this Chief Justice, if there should be an election petition, there's no way this party would win or no way that party would win. This CJ belongs to this party or belongs to that party. This CJ has been calling Mahama or calling Mahama Ayarga or Hassan Ayarga and so on and so forth. Are we saying that we'll do a parliamentary probe and interrogate the CJ? If we hear a general, a military general, on tape saying that, the current Chief of Defense Staff is the worst Chief of Defense Staff, he's a supporter of the opposition or a supporter of PNC or CPP, and he speaks to the CPP leader every day. With this CPS, there's no way MPP is going to be able to break the 8. Are we saying we are going to set up a parliamentary committee and bring the CPS and ask him, how are people deployed? How do we deploy the military in this country? How do you do promotions in the military? And so on and so forth. I mean, it's really unthinkable. I can't understand why we would want to go on this path.
But Sulemana,
and I think that this exercise is really needless, and we must say it as it is,
right.
regardless of the consequences.
Sulemana, does it not matter, though, if it is now on record from commissioners of police, no less, the nature of the partisan divide in the police service? If it is now on record, is it a matter of no consequence? Should nothing be done about it?
No, Kojo, absolutely something can be done. As I said in my earlier submission, I think that the police service has its own internal disciplinary mechanisms and its own internal investigative mechanisms to ensure discipline in the service. That's number one. Number two, the IGP was appointed by His Excellency the President. And I don't think that the President doesn't care after appointment whether the IGP is discharging his responsibilities well or otherwise. The IGP works under the Interior Minister. I don't think that the Interior Minister, his deputy, would say, we don't care, whatever happens. The IGP's role has significant implications on national security. There's a National Security Minister. I don't think that the National Security Minister would say, look, I don't care. It is the President who appointed him. And whether or not the IGP's actions or conduct has implications negatively for national security, I don't care. All those mechanisms are there. Kojo, within Parliament, there is the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, made up of about 18 people. What is the role of that Interior and Defense Committee of Parliament? I suppose their job is to take up matters like these and do whatever behind-the-scenes investigations. If it means that the committee would invite the IGP, it wouldn't be a public thing. But these are things that we are hearing, and these are matters of concern to us. We would want you to address the committee so that at least we know that as a country we are safe and things are going well within the service and so on and so forth. But to set up a committee like this, bring the IGP, and even the commissioners who went, the police commissioner and those other ones who went and made those, allegations, trying to take their partisanship to the overdrive and do, partisan lobbying because somebody wants a certain position. I don't even think that those people should have, appeared openly and then say all the kinds of things that they said. Look, Kojo, the police, as we know, is a regimental institution. It's a command and control institution. That is part of the reasons why we have never heard police officers say we are mobilizing, we are going on demonstration, or we are against this and therefore we are doing a sit-down strike, and so on and so forth. It's a regimental institution, command and control institution. You don't want the IGP to lose that authority that he has over the entire institution, over the entire police service in Ghana. So you don't bring the IGP and then you start to question him why somebody has not been promoted, why promotion is being delayed. And if I were a policeman, I sit down and I watch the IGP explain to me when my promotion is going to happen. The people who were at he said in the Eastern region undergoing training and so on, he's explaining the modalities apart from the time you spent on the rank. There is also the issue of integrity, discipline, competence, and so on and so forth. Why do we want to destroy our police administration? Just because, as IGP said, he's devoted himself. I think I want to do this work and do it well as a Ghanaian. I am doing this with all the patriotism. If my time is up, I would go. And because of that, we want to destroy him. Some people go and make all these allegations, and then we amplify it, take it up, and bring the IGP before the cameras as if the IGP has committed a certain crime. I think it is needless. And as a country, this is something that we ought not to have done.
Hello, Kojo.
Yes.
Hello, Kojo.
Yes, Kofi.
To make a point on that, look, honestly, there is no mandate anywhere for anybody to interrogate anybody's motives. And there is no law anywhere that makes it wrong for anyone to have a political affiliation. When you are the IGP or you are in some sort of office where you are supposed to be circumspect and not bring that into your work, it is your actions that are the issue, not your political party affiliation. The IGP has a right to vote, and I believe he does. So it does not matter what his political affiliation is. It is his actions that we have to interrogate. And in this matter, I don't see anybody say he's done this and this and this because of that. People are insinuating that they believe or they know that the man belongs here or there. We needed to see specific actions with evidence that shows that he was acting in pursuance of a particular goal. So please, let's be clear. There is no law against having a political party. The only issue is your actions are what we should interrogate. And again, we didn't find it. We didn't see it here. All right. So let's just remove that from the equation. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're talking to Sulemana Braimah and Kofi Bentil. It's all about this probe by the Parliament into allegations that the IGP, people were plotting to remove the IGP. And the IGP appeared to speak to a probe about a plot to remove the IGP. That's what happened yesterday. It will continue today. I guess I've got one question left, and I'd love to hear both of you on this. I'll start with Sule, and then we'll hear from Kofi as well. And really, it's the simple question. Nekrakran is saying, where does this go from here? What next?
Well, Kojo, I think at the end of the day, I should want to think that the people of Ghana at this time have recognized the work that the Inspector General of Police is doing. He's not the very first Inspector General of Police. We've had Inspector General of Police over time. It is not for nothing that across the country you hear people saying positive things about the IGP because, he's not the only IGP we've had. We've had IGPs before. Why is it that people are commending him for the work he is doing and celebrating him for the work he's doing? The truth is that institutional reform is not an easy thing. Wanting to change certain things, for a positive thing is not an easy thing. The Ghana Police Service is made up of close to 50,000 personnel, men and women of different backgrounds, who have been used to a certain regimen of doing their work. As he was saying yesterday, right now we have over 20, or I think it is about 25 regional police commands. Ashanti region was commanded by one regional commander. Now Bekwai is a police regional command headquarters. Mampong is a police regional headquarters regional. And I don't know how maybe the substantive regional commanders who would have been in charge of that entire area would be thinking about. There are promotions that may not, somebody would think, oh, I was due for promotion, I was not given. There are postings that, or transfers that will happen that people think, oh, why am I being taken to Northeast instead of, Western region or instead of Water region, and so on and so forth. Managing this institution is not easy. And as he said, there is no way you can have 100% support. The people of Ghana should continue to give the IGP the support that he needs, because I think the worst thing to happen, if people are made to feel as victims for their patriotism, and I believe that is what has started, we need to at least at some point say the partisanship must have an end somewhere. We shouldn't continue to bastardize all our institutions. It started with this parliament, having military enter the parliament building over the processes of electing who a speaker would be. We have had the issues of Demo Level. We have had the issues of Martina Midu. People continue to talk about how every institution, including our educational institutions, are being, bastardized through partisanship. At least, if for nothing at all, we have our security, we have our stability. They should leave our police alone. They should leave our military alone, so that at least, even if all things are not going well, we would continue to live in peace and in harmony. And I think that is what this IGP offers, and I will urge Ghanaians to continue to support him to do the good work that he is on, and to call on Parliament to reflect on the processes that they've embarked upon. And if need be, if it means that they have to curtail or end the committee's proceedings, they should do that. As I said, the Committee on Interior and Defense of Parliament, that substantive committee, could have taken up this matter, done whatever investigations that they want to do behind the scenes. At the end of the day, make recommendations to whoever this committee is going to make recommendations to. And I think that the President, the National Security, the Police Council, perhaps know far more than a certain Commissioner, Alex Mensah, knows. And if the IGP is not fit for purpose, I believe it would have come from those entities, and not an allegation by a certain Alex Mensah and his peers and his cohorts, and the Buguri Nabu, who is all over making all manner of allegations. These things are not helpful for our country. Let's maintain our peace, and having our peace means that we must end the partisanship at some point.
Kofi.
Right. So first, let's be clear that Parliament has authority to do some of these things, but it can be wrongly deployed. And in this particular matter, I think it has been wrongly deployed. I don't see what finding they can make, that justifies anything at all. I don't see who will be found culpable of anything, whether IGP or COP Mensah or whatever. I don't really see what we are going after, whether we are looking for more information or not. There is really very little discernible value to this. So I think they should shut it down as quickly as possible. However, it raises something. When all of this happened, from a policy point of view, there's something we've been saying which came up again. This person says he's going to lobby the president, who is the appointing authority, so that he can change somebody and put him there for A, B, C, D, E. I'm one of the people who believes that policing affects elections. So there is some merit to that whole point, that yes, the police or whoever is leading the police can have some sort of effect on the elections. We won't go into that discussion. But my issue is that because there is one central point which he could lobby or push, he felt he could do it and needed help to go and do that. That's the question. It comes to the point we've been making now that we need to make the office of the IGP independent, like we have made the EC, like we have made the Auditor General, like we have made NCC, National Commission on Civic Education, and like we have made SHRAJ. If SHRAJ and Co can be independent, why should we not make the single institution that is in charge of our internal security independent, at least at the top? And his appointment should not rest on one man. Again, it comes from our constitution. There's a reason why we let that happen, because we wanted a certain stability and for somebody not to have an excuse and to be in charge of many things. We've gotten to the point we need to change that. If, for instance, this man was appointed by 3 persons chosen from the ranks of the police, then COPs can elect. I mean, I'm just conjecturing a process that can happen. And then those 3 people go through parliamentary vetting, and then Parliament picks one, and then we have a removal clause that is like the Chief Justice or the other people. We will have a different arrangement where nobody can get up and say, I am going to lobby for this one to be removed. So I think what comes out of this is again the issue of how the IGP is appointed and how he can be removed from office. If we fix that problem, or if we use this as maybe the catalyst to start a conversation on that, that may be what is the good thing that may have come out of this. But as it stands presently, I don't see anything good that can come out of it. So I think they should shut it down quickly. But sometimes too, these things give you an opportunity. Like I'm saying, when you put somebody like the IGP on a national stand and put full glare on him, like was done, he can trip. And sometimes you have good people who we tend to lose over unnecessary pressure. Okay, I personally think that we are blessed to have IGP Dampare where he is. And yesterday, I think he showed us again why we are blessed to have him. I pray that he will continue to focus on his work. He will continue to have the same temperament that he displayed the last time and continue to have that kind of effect he has had. My last point, the Ghana police was one of the institutions that suffered the worst perceptions in the Ghanaian public.
Yeah.
All down till IGP Dampare came. And not many people had any hope that it was going to change. In the short time that he has been there, the Ghana police today suffers one of the best perceptions of a Ghanaian institution in this country. It is not because they are perfect. It is not because so much has changed. It is because leadership is everything. And IGP Dampare has shown clearly that he has what it takes to transform the force. The people in the Ghana police, they tell me that they are different now. A policeman in a village knows that if he does the right thing, the IGP will stand by him. And that makes a lot of difference. And I'm making the point that, look, one man can make a difference. And we have found in this person somebody who is definitely making that difference. So we need to do things that encourage people like IGP Dampare and not put them on full blast and, let them trip or whatever. So look, I think the point has been made. If Parliament is going to go ahead, they have to give us a very good reason why they are spending our resources that way. Otherwise, shut it down and let the man continue his good job.
Right. Sulemana Braimah is Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, and Kofi Bentil is a lawyer, Senior Vice President and Policy Analyst at Imani Africa. Thank you both so much for your time with us this morning. We appreciate it. Ray, can this thing be shut down?
Yes, it can. I mean, nobody's compelling the committee to. They can just tell the speaker that this is where we've reached. Even Parliament itself that set it up. We are told consistently that Parliament is a master of its own rules. So, I mean, in all fairness, why is a committee? Because Parliament committees work every time, every week, every month. They work every sitting of Parliament without having to do the razzmatazz around some of these things. Why is the committee not giving us a report if it's worth even engaging without all the fanfare, all the media engagements on it with this particular one? Why are they not doing like they are supposed to be doing with any other one? If that will mean not spending all our resources, not getting media people to drive there, go and do it live yesterday from 10 o'clock or so straight down to about 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. We're still watching this live, the IGP's appearance. Today, the IGP will be there. The police team, the huge numbers, and they're talking about the security implications of that. All will be following him. These people have better use of their time. They are, yes, of course, they could be dealing with more serious issues on our hands today. They could be helping with intelligence and all the other gatherings that's required. I'm not saying that the police ground to a halt, but at some point we should see this for what it really is, and not waste more of our resources. We can cut our losses right now and move on to. And I said earlier today, if the parliament committees and the various institutions, sometimes they forget who they represent or the job that they do. They are our direct representatives. If they want suggestions from us on some of the things, we will be very pleased with their probing with another committee, if 4 or 5, working concurrently to get to the bottom of. We can suggest a list to them. Already we've mentioned a couple of them. We should be seen to make our democracy work by doing the things that when we elect you, you have a mandate. That mandate, you are delegated with it. Let the people's interest be always number one on your head. We like revolving our entire democratic practice around elections. We like it too much. So the entire nation, within 4 years of a government tenure, first year, he's setting up a system. He's waiting the third year to now retool for elections. Next year becomes an almost 100% election year. We do the cycle again, and we are shocked and not convinced that we're not getting the democratic dividends, and we are not evolving and developing as a people. how would you grow?
This is how I want us to wrap up. I have a slightly controversial view. Now, unlike all of you, I actually think that something positive is coming out of this parliamentary exercise. I don't think they can solve the problem, so I agree with you all on that. They can't fix the problem that they are revealing, but they are revealing a problem. You see, so I wish that the right institutions would then step in and do what is needed to fix the problem, because it is a real problem. Police can affect the outcome of an election. They can. So there is a problem to be solved. And I hope that the right institutions will step in and see about fixing it. Now, as for the IGP himself, look, he has popular support. Personally, there's only one thing that I would criticize this IGP on, and that is something he spoke about yesterday, the decision to stop the police from speaking to the public on a regular basis about issues regarding police work. Now, I get his reason. His people didn't have the capacity to do the speaking properly. So they were saying all kinds of things, causing all kinds of problems. Look what happened with the Takrady girls and the regional police commander and some of the things he said, right? So look, there are real examples of police communicating badly, making their own work difficult. So I understand why he felt that they should somehow stop all communication and only issue statements. I understand why he felt that way, but I don't think that was the solution. If your people lack capacity, build their capacity. That is the solution, because it's important for the police to keep in a constant interaction with the people. That is also part of democracy.
If IGP is being charged, and this is the solid flaw.
Let me wrap up myself, because I was coming there. This is my one and only criticism of the IGP. Please, I don't remember the last time there was an IGP for whom I had only one criticism. Only one. I rack my brains, and it's only one thing I would criticize him for. Everything else, he has performed exceptionally, and that's not my view. It's the view of our listeners. It's the view of most Ghanaians, except those who want to replace him. Okay, so to be perfectly honest, for him to have been put in front of a committee to have to testify in this manner, I think it has weakened his position, and it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. That's just my view here, and I'm allowed one every now and then.